I've been working on games and personal projects for a decade, and by now I thought I had my workflow pretty much nailed down. I felt productive and fast. I was wrong. Because a couple of weeks ago I tried something new and suddenly I was finishing my tasks nearly 50% faster. It felt like unlocking a cheat code for game dev. In this video, I'll show you my previous workflow and how I improved it to increase my productivity by 50%. And make sure to stick around until the end to get a full sneak peek of the next video, since I'll be taking examples right from its codebase. Alright, let's get into it. I've been using Visual Studio for years, and for the most part, I really liked it. I knew its shortcuts by heart, I could get around the codebase quickly, and it had some great extensions that helped me out a ton. However, I always felt like I had to write a lot of code manually, which honestly should be recognized by Visual Studio and implemented for me. With the release of ChatGPT, I improved my workflow a bit, letting ChatGPT implement some parts of the code and then just copying them back to the project. But it wasn't perfect. The ChatGPT didn't see the rest of the project and often made incorrect assumptions that I had to correct. Also, it didn't follow the coding practices I had, so I had to correct those as well. It kind of felt like an improvement and a setback at the same time. Then, a couple of weeks ago, while optimizing the movement code for this crowd simulation I've been working on, a thought slipped into my head. Since I'm obsessed with optimizing code, why have I never optimized my workflow? After a quick research session, I stumbled upon Cursor AI and decided to give it a go. And let me tell you, I'm never going back to Visual Studio again. This video isn't sponsored and I have no affiliation with Cursor AI, so I have no hidden motivation to suggest you to try it out, other than being so impressed by it that I can't look back. There are a couple of main benefits of using Cursor AI, but the biggest one by far is the code completion. I mean, it's years ahead of Visual Studio. You're going to jump from simple code completion of loops and return statements in Visual Studio to completing whole code blocks while jumping through the codebase with Cursor. I was hooked. But don't trust me, just to look at this. I have this zone that holds some positions that agents can take during the simulation, and I want to implement a function that picks out a random free position from the zone. After writing the function declaration, the Cursor AI will pretty much implement the rest. I mean, this feels like magic. I'm just pressing tab and checking the implementation. This blew my mind when I first used it. And code completion also took away one big pain point: writing code documentation. You pretty much get automatic summaries and comments with Cursor AI. Just wow. But you can't really feel just how good the code completion is until you try it out yourself. I swear, I had moments where I was just reading the code and wanted to start implementing something, and the code completion knew what I wanted. It's scary good. And if you're still not convinced, maybe this will convince you. The second best thing about Cursor AI is that it's aware of your project. This means that it follows your naming conventions, your coding patterns, and your style of documentation. And it does it without you ever telling it to. However, if you do need some special constraints that it didn't pick up automatically, you have the ability to specify manual rules that it will follow while generating code. For example, I don't like using the var keyword. I want to explicitly see the type at all times, so I specified this custom rule that makes sure Cursor AI never uses them. Of course, I used the Cursor AI to write this rule for me with a simple prompt. It goes without saying that being aware of your project makes code generation much easier, since it will implement it directly into your codebase. So forget about copy-pasting multiple files from ChatGPT back to your project. But if you prefer using ChatGPT or some other AI models, this isn't a problem. You can manually pick between different AI models that will be used under the hood, since Cursor AI is basically a smart wrapper around them. Or you can switch to auto mode, where Cursor AI picks them for you. One extra benefit that comes from Cursor AI being aware of your project is that it can check your code and provide insights into possible bugs, performance bottlenecks, or simple improvements that could make your project cleaner and faster. Look at this example of a memory consumption analysis that it gave me. you basically get a code review buddy for free. I mean, for 20 bucks a month, but you get the point. And you can also create automatic code reviews whenever you make a pull request on GitHub. This will make sure that all your coding guidelines are being met, as well as prevent some potential bugs from leaking through. I definitely wouldn't use it as the only measure for checking if the code is valid, but it can be really helpful as an additional check, or at least as a useful pair of eyes if you're working alone. Another amazing thing about Cursor is that you can provide it with the links to online documentation of packages and libraries you're using. It will read through them, index them, and become an expert in using them. Then you can just ask him questions on how to integrate something with a package, and he will show it to you. For example, I wanted to have a custom control over a tween operation in a doTween package. So I provided Cursor with a link to its documentation and asked him how to manually control the tween with a percentage value. And it spit out the appropriate code to do so. It just doesn't get better than that, right? And while I haven't used this as often as other features, it is a game changer when I'm just starting to use new libraries I haven't used before. The next great thing about Cursor is that it's built on top of the Visual Studio Code, which makes it super light. I mean, let's compare the opening time between Visual Studio and Cursor on a fairly simple project like this with about 50,000 lines of code. I guess the results can speak for themselves. If you're transitioning from Visual Studio though, you will have to relearn some shortcuts and will probably need a day or two of transition period until things start to feel natural again, so just have that in mind. Another huge benefit of Cursor AI is that it will revolutionize using Unity for beginners. In my opinion, the ability to create scripts right inside your project and to link them together while being aware of the Unity workflow is incredibly important for beginners. And if you're just starting out with Unity and game development, this is extremely important for you because you can see the step-by-step process of how features are being implemented and connected when making games in Unity. I feel like I've just scratched the surface here, so if you have some extra tips on how to further improve my workflow, please let me know in the comments down below. And since we're on the topic of AI, check out this video that documents our journey of creating a smart, independent AI robotic hand capable of completing various tasks. And that's it for this one. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.